Productions. Want to be best, I'm here for the test. Time may change, forget about the rest. But I'm now in sight, so I don't have time for all these games in my head. So I'm taking the steps to face my dread. Some get up, confused and wake up again. Feel grateful west when I say that I'm west. Don't mean west, but no man for above. Is it a man for above? Why would you stand and watch me plan for the boss? But I put these kids down for the hands of the boss. Because it's the bright light when I'm asking for God. It's me and my thoughts and die, crossing by. Till then when I'm all getting told goodbye. All the ones crying, just a problem guy with the problems. And I don't know how to solve them. Why? That's a good question I'm asking. So I was doing my best and I abandoned not to the comp. I was sanding up myself up deep standing and lights on a tandem. Round and round till I'm back to the start line. Try to find life in a concrete garden myself when it comes to the night time. I don't want to end like slicing and stabbing me now. Doesn't matter who you are, who you are. Walking in the streets and you better watch your back. You never want to slack. Somebody might attack you with it for your name and you can't stop wasting a laugh on the snakes in the grass. Telling everybody what you're doing with a cast. Greatest of ones, get it yourself. Don't tell anybody else what you're doing for the gap. Don't might get kicked in with the police. Trap by police get down on the floor. Quick sell to the rooms and they find the report. You're going to sell pipes on pipes of a sober. Price blown over, price in a coma. Keep your stand still, it's getting colder. They're getting closer. Time for the close. I carry the mistakes on the back that I boulder. Real man does what a real man does when he gets blown down. He would rise to the dust and revive for the worst of the worst. They can deal with the worst. But first you got to plan for the now. Got to stand for the crowd. Got to land on the ground. Cause the niggas and I'm in the land for the now. Got to stand and shout. We stand for the now. Give up with the man so proud. Look at never gonna take back on the top. Never run my gums. Even never come as caught. And they put it in my head. Too never gonna pop these. Cause I mean still dying. Never gonna talk. I'd never be a grass. Nah. But I pop on the grass and I come to be gas. You ever gonna ask what I've done in my past? You could walk on my tracks and see if you could last. Can't take never bow. Slipping with the girl that I never just observed. The kids stopping now and checking the whites. I'm looking for the cheap rolls. They life for time. It's hard on the street pulse. Hang about me. Ballers are one of them. I can't be scoffing. And then in the forest. I kill them. I'm orange. I get it's a grind. Just fight. But I'm off and I feel like there's no such thing as joy when you're living in the chains. There's the view change with the chains and the brain. I'm playing in a game. We are paying for the pain. Never gonna escape that. We see that fate is lies, not with lies. Come for the mouse of the guys, the juice and the ties. Just not with lies. Not feeding the minds, use of brainwashing tactics. See you as a light bond, like keep on me. I split your brain and they hang fantastic, they hang kids great. For your life in a cage, for your mind in a state, for your very young age, programmed to your team, for your just little programmed rats in the game. LaCroix, it's got to be their freestyle sessions.
Hello people. Well, that was my eldest son. Scottish crime scene. So it's good to see these youngsters sticking it to them, speaking up, putting it in a bit of art and giving it to people. So proud of you. How are we doing, people? Right. So when a wee bit knocked, I had a plan of what I was going to be doing this evening, but I've seen a few other things coming up, so I'm kind of all over the place here. A few things I'll probably just talk about. How he's doing, everybody. I've also been told off a Craig Fight the Flat Earth that he's going to appear. He said it in a comment section, so we'll see. But you can let me know, Craig, when you're there in the comments, and I'll open up the other hangout and you can join. Right. Is this working alright? It's a bit sweaty in the shed this evening. So I'll change it a wee bit this night. You know, first thing I want to address again, you know, people and their misconceptions and their misunderstandings of who I am and what I'm actually about. You know, so the fuck you fucking imbecile. You know, that's character play. Okay? Because it's important for me, you know, there's been a huge push in society over the last few generations to subdue human beings, to make them ashamed to be outspoken and to display some teeth and a bit of passion and contempt for liars, which is exactly what I chose to do. You know, selective character bringing in regards to certain aspects. Now, when I'm met with contempt and lies and deceivers and manipulators, then for me there has to be a bit of that within the human being. A bit of grit and a bit of fuck you. That's how change happens. That's how people sit up and take note. Being passive and dry and morbid and okay, yes, I must never elevate my emotions to any sort of passion because it's not intelligent. That's just there to fucking subdue you so that dick breaths can run amok while you sit idle and passive. So, you know, it's not politically correct. It's not a sign of intelligence to swear and have contempt for liars and deceivers. No. Now, just to sit here and be all calm and rational all the time and talk like that to everybody and, hi, love you, hugs and cuddles. I don't care if you're telling me lies and oppressing human beings and causing wars and total fucking trauma to the whole populace. No, I love you. And you shouldn't get angry about it because you're just the same as them then. Come and tell me that when somebody's in your home, abusing you, trespassing. You come and tell me that. Right? You come and tell me you loved them to death. Right? To stop them from trespassing and oppressing you and robbing you. Right? So people have got a real misunderstanding. Again, they forget their own social media. Right? They're not on real life here. You're on social media, watching things through a screen. So selective characters that I bring forth are exactly that. Selective. People have got a very short memory and they'll misrepresent you and offer up their, opinions and blah blah, which they're entitled to. But at least have the decency to come and speak to my face, right? Rather than acting like a little fucking spineless shit stains running about in the undergrowth, passing judgment and comment. At least have the fucking decency to actually say it to the person. Right? Now, because people selectively choose characters or portray things in themselves in whatever way they see fit, doesn't mean they're good, bad, evil or indifferent or any of that stuff. Right? When the push comes to shove, I would be the first one here to step up to the mark and offer a hand of support. I'm not the one sitting passing judgment. I defend everybody's right to be what they are. Everybody has the right to exist as far as I'm concerned. Nobody has the book, the objective book of being a human being and what's the right way and what's the wrong way to be. It's all just conjecture, more ideas and concepts in the mind of deluded man. People have skewed perceptions, they lose themselves on these social media things. I think they spend too much time on it, where the lines between reality and character play become blurred. At times I have a short fuse because it's been a long road of the same old crap and being met by it every single day. So you have a short fuse for it. But again, what do? Sit back and be passive. If it wasn't for people like me having the guts to stand up with a fuck you attitude, none of this would go anywhere. Everybody would just be sitting in their wee boxes because secretly they don't really want truth. They just have contempt for people who maybe have more subscribers or more viewers than them, and that grates on them, so they just want you out the way. So they start planting seeds and talking about other people and misrepresenting people and being that way. Because deep down, all they really want's more attention. And you're stealing the limelight for me, so I couldn't give a fuck about any of that. None of that has ever interested me in any aspect of my life. Again, I have to bring people to the realisation of the severity and the implications of our situation. Sitting about, talking about mumbo jumbo and being passive whining and moaning because you've not got enough subscribers and views. It's not going to achieve fucking anything. People like me showing their teeth, getting out there, standing up and saying, fuck you, is what gets things done. So don't confuse who I really am with what you see portrayed here on the screen. Again, I have to remind you, you're not in my life. You don't know who I am. So it's a sign of the lack, yet again, the horribleness of human beings when they pass judgments and opinions on things that they have no direct experience of. You know, the more I look through this whole arena, the more disgusted I am at human beings. And start to side with these people who want secret societies and to fucking tell lies. No wonder. Because really, people are not interested in walking with integrity and in the path of truth and justice and all that stuff. They're only interested in what they can get for themselves. I want a wee slice of the pie, so I'm just going to whine and moan and bitch about everybody until I get what I want, mate. So, Mr. Cheswick, I've seen your video up there, Mr. Cheswick. It's good, and I appreciate that other people are now cottoning on to what's actually going on with this whole thing. Because again, it's been part of my walk, being involved with it since the beginning, the beginning of this era of people questioning the shape of the earth. And I aired my concerns about why these people were being promoted continually, networking together, no whittling away the nonsensical garbage and getting right to the root. Because it was obvious to me, there is a dismantling of this globe cult heliocentric model bollocks, because they're smart enough to know it would never last forever. So you need to dismantle it. And you need both parties on both sides of the false dichotomy working to the very same agenda if you want to maintain your control and implement some other crap. So real people that understand it, people like me who have been shouting from the beginning, get right to the crux of the matter. Full exploration, nothing else counts. That doesn't get anywhere. All that gets aired is pizza dishes and domes and ice walls and all sorts of fantastical bullshit. Muddying and confusing. Right, so as I say, I have been thrown by a couple of different things. You know, I've seen Mr. Cheswick's video. I also was linked to this, what are they called? The Guardian. You know, mainstream media coverage. And what do we get? We got a load of nonsense about bombarding and shouting at people. Ice walls and domes and religious type rhetoric being, subtly woven in. Well, people like myself have been shouting for the rooftops, been attacked left, right and centre by the unity groups because you'll not conform, because you want to get right to the root of the issue. And then as soon as it starts getting mainstream coverage, we've got all this nonsense. There's no necessity for people to be adopting some fucking substitute for the cartoon concept that is the globe. That's no real science. That's not a real sceptical, honest, scientific mind. A real sceptical, honest, scientific mind would be saying that's utter garbage. What we need now is a proper investigation into the full dimensions and workings, if they can fully be known, in regards to our objective reality. The claim that everybody was born into was the globe. That's where the burden of proof lies. So why the necessity for ice walls and domes and all that stuff? And my God that loves me, that made a fucking hellhole where everything fucking shags and eats everything else. He loves me though. This is the shit that annoys people like me. This is when you start to see the disgusting side of humans. As I say, because I'm not really interested in, walking with integrity and getting to the root of the issues. They're interested in self-gratification, being important, having stature, getting their face on the fucking telly, being a guru. Oh, Dale, you just talk about the same stuff all the time. And, I know, aye. Because the truth's, has to entertain you. The truth must change in order to entertain your little fucking pea brains. So that you don't get distracted. Because you don't have any discipline or focus. So people like me and people that have walked that walk get chastised. Contempt for them. Because pea brains are not entertained enough. There's not enough sensational nonsense about big giants and trees, big giant tree climbers that dropped big jobbies and that's what the big round stones are. And they had it because they threw mud at it and flushed the plug and flooded it. Don't give a fuck about any of that. Doesn't interest me. Time's pressing on. I've not got time to sit about wasting my fucking energy and my brain power on shit that has got nothing to do with me, that I never had any experience at or will ever experience, that I'll never get closure on. But it's new. But it's new though, and it titillates my wee pea brain because I've not got the discipline to keep focused and I need entertained. So no much more entertaining actually finding out where the fuck you are. Let's find out where the fuck we are first. Then if your wee pea brain still wants to, you can come back and sift through the mud and see what you can uncover. But again, I don't sit about chastising these people. I've openly stated that I defend their right to represent and investigate whatever they like, but I never get that in return. Anyway, how we are doing? Harry Hepworth, execrate. Many can't stand being told what it isn't without having another image, map or model to replace their current view. They can't handle the honesty of one stating they don't claim to know. Exactly, mate. It's a fucking shit state of affairs. That's the bit that really bothers me about people. I just see them all vying for a piece of a pie, some illusory pie that they think gives them stature or importance or worth. This is a flash in the pan. Doesn't matter if I'm here for 4 years or 10 years, it's still a flash in the pan. It doesn't mean anything to me. Shouldn't mean anything to you either. It's not my fault that I just happened to be walking the walk I was walking at the time to end up with, I don't know, where is the fucking thing? Many subscribers if I go, I don't fucking know. It's not my fault. Wouldn't matter to me if there was 10 people here or 5 or 100. It's irrelevant. What's relevant to me is walking with honesty, with a focus and a determination to establish and uncover the objective facts of our world. Nobody has the right over anybody. I ain't going to allow it in my time. You know, out with the old hierarchy, in with the new, because the new's all love and light and it's new and it's different. Are you mental? It's the fucking, what's the book? Animal Farm. Read that. Because that's exactly what we're walking right into. All the animals are all disgruntled and all vying for rebellion and truth and honesty and all that. But secretly they're all just hoping that they become the fucking shepherd. Exactly, Phuket word, and it's always been the same for me since day one. Since that message I started to push, no maps, no models, full exploration. I knew it. I spoke to Marty before I even said it, knowing what was going to come my way. Totally predictable. Because it was fucking obvious to anybody with an ounce of discernment what was actually going on. Dale looks rough, aye, whatever. Dale's 41, Dale's got fucking 2 boys, one of them 2 years old, and he's an absolute nightmare. The only bags under Dale's eyes is because of him, not because of the irrelevant crap on here, because I don't put any importance on it. Do you honestly think I'm emotionally attached to this crap? And the fucking gimps that are running about it? Of course not. I'm good, Martin Kearney, how's yourself? Exactly, Ronnie Perry, it's always been the same. Thanks, Flat Earth Vader. That's a compliment. Looking mentally ill in this standardised normalness that's as fucked up as anything I've ever witnessed in my life is an actual compliment, so thank you very much for that. I know, Corey. How you doing, Martin Healy? How you doing, Derek Trotter? Patrick Jane, sometimes I smoke joints. No, when I'm on here right enough. Exactly beyond belief. Exactly, John McLaughlin, the terrible twos. It's worse than terrible. It's an absolute nightmare. The first day he lulled me into a false sense of security because he was a quiet wee thing. It was lovely. And then from day 2 onwards, it's just been tantrums, screaming, greeting, constantly. And I don't even bear the brunt of it. My missus does, and I tell you what, she's got fucking 10 times more patience and strength than I could ever even dream of. I can only tip my hat in respect because I can't deal with it half the time. No, all the bum sniffers that don't have children, that don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. How could they? They have no balls. Nah, that's what Tom Yamaha Xander's right now, 6 years old, and it's just questions galore, And recently it's been about death. He's had Bo, the dog. I got her when he was 2 months old, and she's been at the bottom of his wee bouncer, and in his bed, slept to him every single night right up to the age of 6, and he's now starting to realise mortality, you know, obviously through media, and he's asking questions, and it just breaks my heart, you know, like fucking hell, you know, feeling that responsibility again. Now, what have I brought them here for? You know, I'm responsible for that. That lies at my feet, you know, and having to try and explain, and, you know, I mean, what can you do? But it's questions galore, you know. No, that's a bad thing. Aye, me too, David Marks. Me too, mate. I would have loved to have that, you know. No, of course he wouldn't, Corey, because we know what happens in the real world. So, Ali. But, you know, honestly, looking at that, I mean, what do you tell them? You know, for me, it's like, you know, I have to be honest and say, well, I don't know. But still instill a sense of wonder and hope, if you like, that there is a bigger picture. You know, no fill them with dread and, oh no, son, we came from nothing and no reason or any of that stuff, and to that you shall return. That's not going to get in very well, is it? So, right now it's pretty much you just get back to where we came from, but we don't have any memory of that, because this game wouldn't be the same if we knew, you know, that's part of the thrill of the game. Until obviously he's at an age where he's more reasoned, and then I can have a better discussion about it. But right now at 6, it's like, pff, what the fuck do I say here? Ah, the worms eat you. Yeah, I know, Jason McFarland. It's you know, a few years yet before that, but as I say, he's asking those questions, so. Right. Aye, I remember it as well, Ali. And not having any kind of proper guidance was quite daunting. I remember feeling the fear, realising that, you know, you were mortal and that it would come to an end, and, you know, uncertainty. Even at that young age, you feel that uncertainty. You know, it can make you uneasy. It could be quite traumatic as well. I think it was for me at the time. But that's again the problem. For me, you know, I've never understood that. You know, why are we in this bewilderment? And it's treated as if it's just supposed to be like that, whereas for me, I don't think it should be like that. Something that is seriously wrong here. You know? We should know. There should be a chronological diary of what we are, where we came from, what this is about, which I think existed. Now, I know people are going to say, does it exist? It's in the Bibles. Well, that's not good enough. That doesn't make any sense to me. There's too many contradictions in that. Same with the rest of them. So at some point for me, you know, we were more advanced. We had an understanding of ourselves, the mind, reality, and there's evidence there of that. So if whatever happened, that was severed. And, you know, there's been a push ever since to take his own some other tangent. Whereas I think now, you know, there may be just something in the Constitution that never allows us to go too far off the path. And it's always going to come. Humans are always, they may go with an idea or a concept for a few generations, but eventually that's going to deteriorate. And generations will be born that will ask the questions. So. I think so, Oliver. It just depends what you mean by nature. You know? the construct. Now again, I have to keep saying this, if we're agreeing that this is a construct, it's no natural. It appears natural to us because it's all we know. But if you're intellectually honest enough to realise that it's a construct, then how can that ever be natural? It's no natural, is it? Certainly is hard. So, as I say, I've lost my train of thought. I'm probably going to need to change the title of this because I was planning on analysing globe proponents, but hey ho. Bloody sticker than water. Dear life, to repeat an observation I done on the way home from your last meet, I'd like to chap your door for a cup of. Okay, of course you can, mate. Of course you can. I sometimes think that as well, Phuket word. I spoke to a Buddhist a couple of weeks ago who told me that I must have lived before. Even that kind of concept's quite terrifying, you know, unless it's of your own choice. To think you're at the whim of some cycle of, you know, I need to come back, now I'm a slug. Oh, you said fuck off to that woman online one day, so therefore you're coming back as a slug for 4 weeks until somebody stamps on you so that you learn your lesson, you big bastard, you. That doesn't really fucking appeal to me, to be honest with you. Don't do it, TMF. As I was saying yesterday, I think I was talking to Mero, it's not that I would wish my kids away, you know, but now, you know, a deeper understanding, or no, a deeper understanding of I know fuck all, you know, leaves me in a position of what the fuck have I done? Again, it's a huge burden of responsibility that I feel. You know, what are you bringing them into here? How can I actively just perpetuate a concept or idea and send them on their merry way to be delusional for the rest of their life? I just can't be getting up to that. You know, so it's not like you wish them away, but you know, I wish I had some foresight, you know, back then, before I went throwing the inch about willy-nilly. Yeah. The new shed will be getting built on Saturday and Sunday. Even if I had Xander at the age of 35, Ali, it didn't make any difference, does it? You know, a bit more calm in my senses and stuff like that, but still no any real clarity of what the fuck's going on. That's it. Can only give them the tools, you know. Nick, I heard this, Gav was saying to me about this critical think was in Phuket and was inviting you for a meet-up and all that stuff. How did that go? Maybe I just wanted to ask you if you knew where the best ladyboy establishment was, and did you know any locals maybe you could get them a discount or something. I highly doubt it was to show you some globe proofsies. I'm Pat Mustard, I'm just going to get this shed build out the road, and then next week I'm going to organise, as I say, a meet-up, a wee venue with some music and stuff like that, so well, you better watch, Demi, because apparently, you know, that truth of how water behaves is boring for people. You know, you need to tart it up with some tinsel or something and make it extravagant. People are get contempt for the truth now, apparently. If there's no contempt for the truth, it's, well, you should talk about other things, but yet when you say, okay, right, come and tell me what I should be talking about, nobody ever shows up. I think they just like to fucking whine and moan. And I think it's rooted in the fact that they're just bitter because they don't have a viewing audience or subscribers or something like that. But again, they fail to understand that that was never my incentive. It was never even on my radar as a reason for getting involved with this. It was because, as I said, I could see what was happening and realised the importance of this and wanted to step up to the mark. But again, people forget that, and time goes on and they start to show and display contempt for you. You know? Maybe it is, maybe I've, you know, done as much as I can, taken it as far as I can take it. I've said it before, you know, right now, you know, I'm here trolling these fuckers. I know it annoys them that I show up here every Saturday. I know it pisses them off. That's my incentive. What other progress can be made or uncovered? Exploration is what's required. Right, fuck it. Exactly, Demi. No, I'm using spherical geometry to build the shed excavate. Level at this corner is only relative to this corner. As soon as I move to that corner, it's no longer level. So I have to account for the slight curvature over the distance of 14 feet. So I require some non-Euclidean aspects here that nobody ever uses in the practical world. But hey ho, you know, I know it's a globe, so therefore I need to. Ah, exactly, Ali, I've just stated it. Account for not only curve across that way, also the depth, I have to account for the curve. So if anybody could help me with my calculations, yet, you know, there's no engineer or construction, you know, facility out there who ever uses anything other than Euclidean plane principles. So I can't even get them to help me because I want to get it right, you know. So I thought, well, you know, I better account for the curve of this earth. But none of the practical engineers or people of the practical world can help me because they only understand plumbing level right across the board. What can you do? I've thought that as well, Phuket Word. That, you know, like Russia and Canada and Alaska are actually running the outer skirts. I'm not saying circular, but, you know, at the outer edge. You know, or again, you know, even postulate that what they show you, the Mercator map, is probably how it could be. You know, it's actually a square foundation. You know, maybe encased in a pyramid. Who knows? But, you know, postulations, apparently I don't talk about any of these things, although I've been saying it for fucking years. You know, let's take every aspect of every model and you'll probably find truths and bits that we could work together. But that's still not going to help us. Interestingly, you know, me and Marty were playing with lasers and what's the fucking word now? Glass fucking, what's the word? Lenses. Now, when I got the glass pyramid, you know, an actual three-dimensional glass pyramid, when I put the laser through one of the joints from the base and the wall, what was happening, and I'll video it and show you, is I was getting an arc a perfect arc of the laser on the roof from flat square sides. No curves in the pyramid. So it's pretty interesting. More digging required, methinks. Yeah, my Dale does need a tea. I don't even know if she'll be listening. She's fucking fed up hearing it. So I understand. Again, the truth is under no obligation to be entertaining. That's where invoking certain characters comes into play. Now again, go back to the second or third video when I speak openly about this. You know, you can employ the same tools that have been used to sell you faulty, shitey products and to perpetuate lies. And you can use those very same tools to empower people and offer them truth. But rather than people understanding that you have the integrity and that you're walking on the path of honesty and looking for facts, you know, people should realise that first and foremost, and then catch themselves on when they're saying, oh, I'm fed up listening to you because you see the same thing. Well, that's fine. I mean, listen to something else. But don't chastise people like me because of your boredom. Because as I say, I'm under no obligation, and neither is the objective truth, to entertain any fucker. Walk your own fucking walk. Mind your own fucking business. And again, it's a disservice to people that have been here and what has been offered up and unravelled and uncovered, you know, over the years, which is quite extensive. You know, it's not just water, as people like to make out, just because I use that as the number one proof, because it is. There's been so much more done. People like me have put up with so much fucking shit. Right, anyway, let me start another hangout thing here and we'll just take it for that. I was going to look at fucking, you know, these morons like Conspiracy Cats and Greater Sapien and, you know, Fight the Flat Earth and all that. I can't really be bothered now. I'll tell you what their content is. It's just rhetorical garbage. Offering up the same old crap. Go to every one of their channels and you will not find any quantified, measurable proof that the Earth's a sphere. But they don't have the honesty to stand by that and say they don't have that. They just try and make out that they're on some sort of higher ground and that they have got it and you're just daft. That's all they have. Sophistry, bollocks and ridicule. That's it. So that's me summed up the whole fucking lot. But if you get any suggestions or if somebody wants to come on, I'll have a look. If there's something in particular that you want me to look at. Right. So, before I do that, you know, what did I catch? I seen that Conspiracy Cats guy going on about the Coriolis effect with his wee crayons and his wee drawings and all that stuff, and how things are deflected, north and south, away from the sun and all that. How does that happen? Unless the air is separate from the earth and no moving with the earth, because that's your claim. Your model claims that the air is attached like Velcro to the fucking earth, moving at the same speed as the fucking earth. So if I'll use a globe bollocks, point, when they say, if you're inside a moving train, right, that's fine. So to make the point in the idiocy of this Coriolis bullshit, sit in another vehicle within a moving train with the train sealed and the train moving at 100 miles an hour, and then throw something out and note that it doesn't go, boom, it'll land right next to you. But they've got to misrepresent, because that's what would actually happen with the air moving at one time. Nothing would deflect anywhere because it's all moving relative. So, they like to cherry pick these things. And as soon as you leave the Earth reference frame and start to go against it, you're now altering your momentum and you're now going against the movement that you had. So as you start to increase, the earth beneath you would start to go by you even quicker. That's physics. That's how motion in the real world with objects actually works. But as I say, I can't really be bothered giving them any sort of proper attention, because they just don't warrant any proper attention until they offer something stimulating. Offering up sophistry and ridicule is just the tired same old crap. Natalia K. For me, it subjectively made me feel I was accessing parts of myself I had buried beneath ego and dishonesty. DMT is in the perfect place to create the next bullshit story, unfortunately. Exactly. Again, there's aspects of these psychedelics that are of use to the individual up to a point. But the boundary is then crossed again with people when they have self-realizations. They don't just leave it at that. They start making connections to this fantasy realm that they think they were in, and start professing that was, a real place, and they met real beings and all this stuff. And and as Natalia is absolutely right. These are ideas that can be used against people, because people like to clutch for certainty on concepts and ideas that fascinate them or titillate them or whatever. They don't understand that, these things again are just substitutes to their natural constitution of exploration and inquisitiveness. So again, it all ties back into the meaningless spinning ball with no way off. Taking a DMT trip's like, a release, there's something more. I've yet to meet anybody that's ever come back from any of these things with something profound. Oh, by the way, the Earth's not a globe, and here's what it actually is. You'll never get anybody on a DMT trip getting any of that. And again, according to religious people, this is Satan's kingdom. So your DMT and your mushrooms and all that are all creations of Satan. So when you take them, you're seeing fucking Satan's wee beings and all that stuff that are just telling you a lot of shite. Jason McFarland, we've been shouting for that. I don't know if you're aware, but we go to the universities and stuff, and they've been trying to draw some sort of communication out of, you know, a real physicist, whatever the fuck that is. Again, we're all the scientists, you know, so they don't have any stature over me. You know, again, they're under the same rule. Practically demonstrate your claims that you're making, or fuck off. It's as simple as that. So that's probably why you'll not get a real physicist, somebody who deals with objective substance and reality, because they're never going to come in and say, oh, here, look, here's my bending water, no, without adding wallpaper paste into it or something. Well, I think we would clock that, you know? Exactly, Ali. The bad trip is here. But again, I'm no, you know, poo-pooing the whole aspect. And you know, it's in my understanding that there's aspects of these things that can help to treat obsessions and habits like heroin addiction or whatever else. You know, so there is aspects I think that can be utilised that are beneficial. But you know, the problem I have is when people start going to the metaphysical realms and start trying to attach their metaphysical experience to our objective reality and telling you how the whole fucking shebang works because they took a tab. You know, that's when it starts to get a wee bit right. You've left fucking reality now, my man, you know? Exactly. This is it, Mero. Again, you know, I'm not trying to take away anybody's experience of these things. Again, they're for your subjective interpretation, and that's all there ever can be. You know, that's the same for everybody else. Again, I only have an issue when people start coming at me with that attitude of they know just because they had that experience. That's not right. That can humble you. It did. You know, magic mushrooms humbled me. Magic mushrooms, you know, I went on a trip of insight to myself, which was great, and I had progress from there on in. So for that purpose, it was absolutely wonderful, and I highly recommend it. You know. Well, John D, I also experienced that as well. You know, it depended on what kind of emotional state I would be in. If I was in a kind of anxious, negative type state, then taking like an LSD tab was just asking for trouble, because it just, you know, can induce a hellish trip, as Nick was pointing at, you know. As I got older, I started to realise that I didn't want to escape from myself. I actually embraced myself. I actually quite liked having my own clarity, my own mind. You know, the emotional traumas and turmoils were no longer relevant, you know. So I think that's the thing. People then start to become dependent on these things because it gave them a release. Well, some of these people tells Chili's, I just started to feel like it was a escapism and a rejoice and bewilderment and, you know, fantasy realm, and ignore and you know, forget to attend to your actual being and what's actually relevant and going on in your everyday life, you know. Reality is a trip, you know. This is some sort of advanced technology. For all we know, every single one of us is already in an induced coma, you know, through some drug. I don't know where Fight the Flat Earth is. He stated to me in a comment section that he was going to come on. Where is it? It was that microwave engineer one. Let me see. hang on a wee second here. I don't think Emma heard the cries for a cup of tea. I'm going to have to send a cheeky text message. Right, my computer's acting up here. Need a new one. Super chat, PayPal, Patreon and all that, gives your money because I'm a special one and I deserve funds or something. Hang on, let me just see here. Said he puts his kids to bed at 7, then he'll be free. I think it's time we had a wee chinwag. Oh, do you know? Where are you? Fight the flat earth. Dangle stupidity off the side of a building and let it go and all that stuff. And get in here and show me your stupidity. Till I dangle it right in front of you. Right. Come and join me. There you go, there's a link if you want to come and join me. It's quite warm in this shed. I think I overdone it with the stocking of the burner this evening. Again. Exactly. Truth of love exposes delusion. Respect the stand and simple fact of earth's flatness, that I know with I am right, forming a prideful, self-righteous, worldly born identity that judges other people as delusional pride. It certainly is. That's why I keep saying I defend everybody's right to be what they are. I'm in no position to oppress or judge or chastise anybody else, and neither is anybody else. But it's part of the mental illness with people. Nathan Oakley's entitled to do whatever he likes, but I for one don't agree with classing this question as a debate. People will debate aspects that are inconclusive. And there's a reason why they're inconclusive, because of their optical phenomena. And that's where you see the majority of debate taking place. Invisible phenomena. Where people are not honest enough to say they can't quantify it. They don't have quantification of visible phenomena yet. So, they're entitled to be what they want to be, call it whatever they like, and I defend their right to do so. But I don't agree with it. Who's got a Facebook group? I remind everybody, if you see a Beyond the Imaginary Curve group on Facebook, that was hijacked about 2.5 years ago by some gimp, and they blocked me and removed me from my own group, and I think it still exists. So if you see it, it's no mine. It does still exist, does it, Tinfoil Man? What's been going on in it? Ice walls and domes and all that rubbish, probably.
Hey Del, what's up, my man?
Who's this?
This is Demi from New York.
How you doing, mate?
Hey Del, what's up? How you doing?
Good. Who's this?
This is Demi from New York.
Martin, you need to turn the watch page down. Good. Who's this? Sorry, G. Martin Schumacher, you need to turn the watch page down on YouTube. Sorry, mate, what's your name? So, G. Somebody just sniped him out of here. Again. Sorry, mate, what's your name? So, G. Somebody just sniped him out of here. Martin Schumacher, the account is. So I'm going to open another one up to let that guy on. Sorry, mate, I missed your name there, but this fucktard that's just come in has sniped you. So you probably not be able to join this one, so I'm going to need to set another one up. Name there, but this fucktard. Unbelievable. Again, I encourage them. Just speak. You know, your antics are fucking well noted. All you're doing is showing people that there's a push to try and stop free expression and free discussion amongst people. Another sign, another reflection on your globe cult behaviour. Nobody's asking you to be here. I think that's the right one. Is that the new one? Have I done it right? So the chap that came on a minute ago, if you hear this, we had a Globe cult disciple come in and ejected you from the hangout. I've opened a new one up if you want to join. Exactly, mate. You know, people say, why does Dale get contempt and annoyance for these people? Well, it's exactly that, because they just don't know when to let up. They've had ample opportunity just to speak rationally, reasonably, have a discussion like a mature adult, but they're incapable. So I'm not just going to sit back and go, okay, be passive, you know that. My blood is actually pumping, you know. I have, you know, self-respect. Don't be shy, people. Martin,
Yes.
what you wanting?
Yep. What do I do?
Martin,
Yes. Yes.
what you wanting?
Yep. What do I do?
Martin,
Yes. Yes.
what you wanting?
Hey, it's a big. Yep. What do I do?
You need to turn the watch page down.
Yes. It's a big delay, and now it's repeating. Hey, it's a big. Yep. What do I do?
I'm going to give you one chance, Martin. Turn the YouTube watch page down. That's why your VP brain's getting confused. He's gone. Fight the Flat Earth is obviously no get his Superman pants tumble dried yet. You don't need to iron them, just get them on. Doesn't matter if there's a wee damp patch, it's only going to get worse. I never expected him to show up Boris chops. So, what's relevant? What's been happening? You know, give me something to talk about. Sent Gav the link. Gav will possibly be joining. Ali, is that actually you?
Aye, it is, mate, aye.
How's it going?
No, not so bad. Can you see me, aye?
Yeah, I can see you. You'll not see me, Ali, because I've not got it set up yet to connect to the two things, mate. So you'll need to. I know it's a bit off-putting, but.
Oh, no, it's all right, because I've got you on the big screen. I'm just looking at a blank screen. Just no worry. I don't need to see your ugly cooking anyway. I'm joking, bud. All right. Well, that was I just wanted to come on. That was a great. That was a really good conversation you had with Phuket Word last week.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that Russian vids, it was as if he was trying to just stop you talking about that. It was quite weird. It was quite funny actually watching that.
Yeah.
You know, I know he gets accused of an agent, but he was certainly acting like one.
Yeah.
Last week, and I know another thing I wanted to point on. There was another guy that attacked you, and I thought, who's this dude? And he had about 13 subs. So what I done was, just out of curiosity, I went and checked out that Russian vids subs as well,
right,
and looked at yours. And it's just so funny, you're in the same amount of thing, and I was beginning to think, you know, they might be. I'm not saying this for a fact, but they might be, you know how they, because you have quite a big influence, you know, like quite a big following and stuff like that. They might be just gatekeepers set, and when you move up into that realm of where you're making a bit of difference, bang. Because that's what it seemed like to me. You know, I
think it is. They just send different personnel because they all just keep fucking burning out and falling by the wayside, you know. But again, you know, looking at the behaviour, you're only left with two conclusions, Ali. He's either really mentally unstable and emotionally unhinged, or he's got a job to fulfil. You know, I really can't come up with anything else because there's no reason for it, you know.
No. And it was really weird actually. It was quite weird actually watching it. And I mean, he's done it about the last 3 or 4 times. I think, what? Do you know? It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, do you know, if you're not wanted somewhere, what the hell you?
Exactly.
You go in there.
You've got to remember the guys making hit piece videos, and I'm a Jew, I'm a Mason, I'm a Satanist, I'm fucking everything. You know, that's like, you know, let's all go and have dinner with Ted Bundy. You know.
You're a man of many talents, Dale.
I know. Fuck, I wish I was that windswept and interesting, to be honest with you, Ali. No, I mean, the truth's just fucking nowhere near it.
I know, man. It was crazy. Oh, is that your tea coming?
That's my tea here. It's arrived, yes.
I hope there wasn't too many stern words in the text.
No, there was no slap, so it couldn't have been that bad, you know.
Yeah, man, so.
Aye. So I seen you were on that non sequitur thing.
Oh, which one with that professor guy?
I don't know. I just had a wee quick scan. I can't watch it for that long.
No, I don't. Yeah, I don't blame you, mate. No, it was just they were having this professor dude on, and I thought, like, fuck, how many chances you get to talk to like someone supposedly an expert, PhD, and all that. So I wrote to that Steve McRae and says, look, I said, I know you've got this guy coming on next week. I said, if you can't get anybody else to, have a discussion, because I'm discussing now, fuck that debating. But I said, give us a shout.
Yeah.
And there it was, I mean, it was quite funny because I didn't get on here, but it was quite funny how late I got on, and who cares anyway? I just like going on to these places just in case someone, just to expose. I don't mind them shouting and bawling, call me a retard and that, because it just showing their true colours, man. That's basically what I'm going on for. I'm not trying to convince anybody.
Well, that's it. That's why I went on, just to tell them they're a bunch of cunts.
Yeah, that was classic.
People are all up in arms about it, thinking you're going in there to have an honest discussion. You're like, the people are no honest. They're calling it a debate. That tells you right away they're no honest people. So all they're going to get from me is a fuck you and you're a cunt. Yeah.
It was quite funny, but as I say, I mean that kind of, and they like that. That's exactly what they're after.
Yeah.
They like, because that gives the the audience what they want.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. But fuck them anyway. As I say, I'm just doing it because I'm. Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing it. Actually,
trolling them.
Basically. But with my beliefs, my belief or my knowledge that I'm, I don't think we're not in a spinning ball, man.
No,
absolutely not. And when you look into the proof, I mean, like I said, when they first go and investigate and they're having to go all the way back. When you say, how did he prove the Earth is round?
2,000 years ago.
What? Are you joking me, man? Do you mean if I was a ball earther, I can assure you I'd be pissed off with science today, man.
Yeah.
They've got nothing. They're going back away, like what you said, 2,500 years ago to look for proof.
Exactly. It's no different for any other religion, Ali, is it?
Yeah. It seriously is. It's and the reaction you get is just the exact same you would get off some Christians, man.
Right.
And they don't see it. It's as if it's like, I think, a fish. It's like a fish, like when it's swimming in water. I know it's an old analogy, but it's like a fish is swimming in water, doesn't know that he's swimming in water, and it's the same as on a psychological level. Yeah. They don't realise how they look on the outside, man.
Exactly.
But this emotion, they've got this.
That's why they sit in their echo chambers, though, because they get some confirmation bias and a sense of security, and they delude themselves because they surround themselves with people that are the same, and that's it.
We're yes men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they've got YouTube promoting them and bumping them up, so that just affirms to them even more that their delusions are correct. But as you say, it's a reflection on them, mate. When you're sitting on the outside, you just see them as jesters. They're just total clowns.
I show my friend. He believes the Earth is a ball, and I don't care. You know what I mean? We don't think I always take the piss. He takes the piss out of me. But when I show him the behaviour of these people, he's like, what's wrong with these people? When he's seriously, and he's. But he's not on a side because he doesn't really. He's not really bored about it, kind of thing. Which is, and I'm not going to force the issue. There's no point. Why? He's accept his belief. He accepts mine. That's enough. But when he sees these people, man, hold up, man. That's
it. That's the difference. Offline in the real world, we just accept each other and we go on with it. There's no necessity for me to set out to try and convince anybody of anything because I'm not that insecure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If somebody wants to have delusional beliefs and they're satisfied with that, then I'm quite content with that. I don't need to take it away from them to feel satisfied, So, the only thing.
And when.
Sorry.
No, you go.
No, you won't.
All right, and it's when you actually, when you go so far and you can actually talk about the science that they've got and go like that, then they make, you can see the dishonesty,
Yeah.
that they're lying. So there's a reason, you know, then it's not about a discussion or finding out anything at all.
Yeah.
It's them, is that they won't admit it.
Aye, that's it. They want to defend.
And then that's when it gets suspicious for me.
Yeah, that's the
I
moment.
start thinking, wait a minute.
That's the moment the ego's kicking in, you know.
Yeah.
Well, or you know, you've got these obvious ones who are their own task. For me, you know, that's pretty obvious. You know, coming out with the same tired old rhetoric over and over and over again. You know, without any quantifiable, measurable proof, any of your claims is just, you know, patently absurd. You know, so. But in the regards to real people, you can see that their ego may kick in for a short period, and they will engage in trying to lie to themselves, you know. But in my experience, the real people will not perpetuate that because they don't have any agenda to do so. You know, once they're away from you, that, you know, they don't have to admit defeat or any of that stuff. But their intellectual honesty will kick in, and they'll be thinking to themselves, you know. So.
Yeah, that video that you done, they three students, kind of.
Yeah.
That guy was just, he was in denial, man.
Aye.
The wee Irish guy, blue hoodie or whatever he was called.
Yeah.
He was just, he was well triggered.
Exactly. Well, that's a classic example, like ego and it becoming a competition of one-upmanship. You know, where it's like you're trying to discuss something objective. Why are you bringing your emotional derpitude into this, you know? Just
derpitude. Derpitude. That's a new one. I've not heard that one yet. That's the first time, derpitude. I like that. It sounds like a proper word, right? You know?
I don't even know where I heard it, mate, so I couldn't give credit for it. So.
It's brilliant, man. Derpitude. Your derpitude astounds me. Oh, God, man, a classic.
Well, we're rewriting the language, Ali, so fuck it, you know.
Well, they've rewrote it.
That's it.
You know, I mean, I found out. I done a video there the other day because, you know, I've always been into the sciencey stuff.
Yeah.
So I decided. I thought it was funny. I hadn't looked before. I thought, I wonder what law means in science. So I just typed in law and science. I found this great book. A law is just a description.
Yeah.
It doesn't prove anything at all.
Yeah.
So when these people say, it's a law, I mean, notice how it's all this wordsmithery that they use this, you know, because the layman's term, if I went up to anybody and says, you know, what's a law, you know, and they'll go, it's a definite thing. They won't say, it's a description or something. You know how they've taken away words that, you know, it's kind of, it's like etymological sleight of hand, man, or something like that they're using.
Yeah.
They're taking words out of normal language or normal everyday use and stealing it. And they say, it's a law. And the layman will just go, it's a law. Right. So it's definite, it's decided.
Aye. It's the same as legalese, isn't it? It's the same kind of process, you know, they've got different terminologies and meanings to different words, just like level, you know, where they start wanting to, you know, redefine what that actually means and twist it.
Exactly. And that's how they're getting away with it. But it's quite fun, you know. They're fucked when they meet someone that's got a little bit of knowledge, or maybe or someone that's read a little bit, got a better understanding of things, maybe whatever, and they kind of get messed. They kind of get messed up, and then they just start swearing and call you a retard.
Exactly. It was like I went in and trolled that Timmy Osmond for 5 minutes last night, and he's shown his visible proofsies about curvy water, and I'm saying to him, right, okay, well, how would we build a bridge over that then, son? How are we going to build a bridge over that? You tell me. You lay out the geometry and the engineering instructions for us to build a bridge over your curved water. Let's see how that goes, you know?
Yeah. Bendy theodolites.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know what I mean? I've been shouting on about theodolites for I don't know how long. They're only rated to 100 metres.
Mhm.
So when I see that guy, Jesse Kozlowski, come out
Mhm.
and say, look, I'm looking at the... Now, if they're specifically designed, imagine the accuracy of a camera. A
Yeah.
camera is no more, is less accurate
Yeah.
than a man-made device
Yeah.
that is specifically designed to show level.
Exactly.
And for 100 metres, and after 100 metres, it just it's useless.
It's probably useless for the minute it goes a metre, because I've shown that as
Well,
well.
it is.
Lining something up with the crosshairs and then moving it further away, it diminishes in apparent size and is beneath the crosshair. But again, that's another aspect to use. The horizon never rises to eye level, but that's because they're defining the horizon as the ground. And the ground will never intersect the central point at any optical device because it's not a hill you're looking into.
Plus the shape of the lens.
Exactly.
It's like that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's where your horizon's always going to be at the bow of the lens. That's where it's going to come up because of the light.
But if you've got a crosshair on your lens, the ground will never go beyond the central point of the crosshair, because it's known in reality it's physically not doing that. And if it is, you're looking into a hill. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like Miles Davis.
Mhm. Look at my picture. The mountains below the bridge. Can you quantify that for me? Can you show me actual measurable science and all that? No. I'm just going to keep a certain until you accept it.
But that guy's I think he's a biochemist. He's written loads of papers, and this is the thing that gets me. Right. There's no hope in. Well, he is. He's actually he's quite highly qualified. He's wrote papers, had them peer reviewed and everything. And I learned about but anyway, the point was, I can't believe that he's that he doesn't know that.
Exactly.
That he must be lying, he must be lying.
Of course it is. It's disingenuous stuff, mate.
Yeah, afraid of losing their friends or whatever. It's like that group.
Yep.
Think, being afraid of, standing up and say, hey, by the way, I don't believe that, I believe this.
Exactly.
And be open to ridicule, and don't be that, what you said, be that confident in yourself.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. I only care what my friends think.
Exactly.
And even then, I mean, it's like, you have to be strong in yourself and believe yourself, or love yourself even, or like yourself at least.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? At least
Exactly.
fucking like yourself.
That keeps you clear. If you're at the whim of other people's opinions and influence, then who are you really? You're just an idea of everybody else's influence, and that's no a healthy thing to be living, as far as I'm concerned. Each to their own, but it's just not something I would go with, because as you say, I've got a bit more self-respect in that. So, but and these people, as you say, the institutions. It's not just NASA. There's so many offshoot institutions and avenues who depend on this delicate, limited resource potato rock in the infinite void, so they can perpetuate their fucking drivel and bring their money in. Again, I even extend to the point I understand why people would want to defend that, because people want security. I think you have to weigh it up at a point and say, look, at the end of the day, you're contributing to your own children, your own offspring, living a lie. So, your desperate need for certainty and monetary, gain is no justification enough, But hey-ho.
I think they get caught in a trap, like the Polish guy that's watching his two colleagues beat the shit out of someone standing there going like that.
Exactly.
He can't report that. If he reports that, his career's over.
Yep.
End fucking story. Maybe he's wanted since he was a boy to be a policeman.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And then he's already trapped. He's got the wife, the kids, the mortgage, and everything. What's he going to do?
Aye. I had a conversation like that with a copper about 10 years ago when I was, in the free man thing and, exercise and all that kind of stuff. And he actually pulled me to the side because he was with colleagues at that time. And he was saying to me, look, I know exactly what you're saying, and you're totally right. He was saying to me, I had to move stations because, I was being, ridiculed and ostracised because to him, he was a child. He wanted to go and investigate crime and catch bad guys, and he had all that kind of dream. And he realised that he was just there to fulfil, quotas and no, uphold the law as how it was intended. So I've had the conversations with people. There is many people in different walks of life who know that there's something wrong with the game that's being played, but some of these guys will just bend because of the pressure,
Yeah.
And it's not just about people coming out and talking about the globe. It's in issues like that. Why is the law not being carried through as the way it was intended to be? So you've got the same problem in all these different factions and relevant points of our society and what's going on,
Yeah, but I think the with the flat Earth, I think that's like the biggest of all. We know politicians are corrupt, the governments, the banks, crashed economies, and we know all that kind of thing. But this here, man,
it's
like,
the big equalizer, mate. It brings everything back to the level again. It brings the whole fucking shebang right down,
Yeah, would that be the curvy level, Dale?
Aye, well, aye. It's only level at the top. What about doing in Australia now? Oh, fuck, it's different. It's all relatives.
Yeah, it's all relatives, man. Oh, well, this is the thing. They've got a thing. It's that equivalence principle, right? Principle.
Yeah.
That just actually means, basically translated, that just means anything can be true.
Yeah.
That gives them. They like pick and choose whether it's going to be Newtonian. Should we do Newtonian? Or the Newtonian doesn't work for that one. It has to be Einstein's general relativity for this one, and then they work on that. They work on that one, but they like pick and choose, and people don't see it. Well, I mean, all earthers don't see it.
Both of those fucking aspects that you brought up, they're creations of man in order to perpetuate a model. We've got real physics and how things actually work, but yet when it comes to the bigger picture, they have to, reinvent physics and, unattainable, unmeasurable, stuff. So,
well, there's a great book I was reading. I was reading about the history of astronomy. It was this book. It was written in the 1800s or something. I know a bit shady with that, but the point was, it was just giving you the history of astronomy. Went back to the old days, Chaldeans and all that stuff. Yeah. And then what happened was, during the Renaissance, when all science was coming through, coming to a fore, like biology and, and genetics and all that kind of stuff that was getting looked at the 16th, 17th, poor astronomers, they had nothing.
Yeah.
So they had to start making shit up to make them, more relevant. They'd lost their position because they used to be the advisors to kings and queens.
Yeah.
But suddenly everybody wants biology and magnetism and electricity and stuff like that. Poor old Mr. High Priest astronomer was, well, what am I going to do now? I know, guys, let's make shit up about that's a galaxy and, this is 1 billion light years away. And now it's morphed into just a load of shit, man. It's just bollocks. It really is.
It's a concept that they just couldn't let go.
And it's just snowballing. It's just snowballing, Dale.
That's it.
They're talking about bouncing the bouncing theory, and the bubble. They've got bubbles now. We're actually now. This is the crack now. We're in a bubble amongst all other bubbles, floating about. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
That's not the Big Bang anywhere, is it? It's the expansion. So see, even that there, that's gone. There's the guy Alan Guth that came up with the expansion thing, right? That's right.
Now one of the guys that co-wrote it, Paul Steinhardt, one of the co-writers that had done it with now, he came out 2 years ago. I watched a video of his explaining exactly why it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And we're still getting told about the expansion.
Exactly. And you still get people ballers quoting the Big Bang. All this kind of stuff as well. You go, it's already changed. You better keep up with your fucking. You better keep up with your fantasies, my man, because it's adapted now.
Yeah, and they change it. It's like they're changing it all the time. And another thing about they always say, "Oh, it's a conspiracy or whatever." Well, there's an organisation called the NSF, right, the National Science Foundation, and they decide they get billions off the government in grants, right? And money, they get a budget, and then they hand out grants, right? But they decide what direction. That's why it's all gravitational waves at the moment, stuff like that, because they decided if you want funding, this is if you look into gravitational waves, you'll get as much money as you like.
Yeah.
And so they're saying, oh, you know, that it's like that Delphi technique. It's as if you're given choices, but you're not. You're getting the only way you're going to get grants and stuff like that. And they're just, you know what I mean? So they're actually directing the science. It's well, they control all the money in America that goes towards research and stuff like that. Apart from the private companies, they're directing it.
Of course, if you're going to investigate something that fits the narrative, then you get the funding. You know, because it just bolsters the narrative. You know, it's pretty straightforward, isn't it? And if you step out of line or go against the grain, then your funding's immediately stopped. You know?
And you're ridiculed to boot. You're ridiculed and your life's destroyed, man.
Exactly. But, you know, recently I've been catching up with a few kind of old philosophers and stuff who, there is people through the ages who've spoke about these things that obviously never got the notoriety or the publicity. You know, the one I was listening today was you know, I don't agree with everything, but this guy's called Martin Heidegger.
Oh, right, okay, I've heard the name. I don't think I've looked at it.
And the other guy's Firebrand. I think that's how you pronounce it. An Austrian guy who was a contrarian to mainstream science and stuff like that, who was outspoken about it right down to, you know, the heliocentric model. He's even quoted as saying about it. You know, so there's always been these people, but they've just never had the publicity and the notoriety. You know, again, part of the narrative protecting itself, where it doesn't want to give, you know, exposure to some of these supposedly qualified, whatever the fuck that means, you know, but these people who've come through the same education system who are gone a different road. And, you know, Rupert Sheldrake is another guy as well, you know, that the majority of people have heard of. He was the same. I seen his YouTube account this afternoon, and it's sitting at 15,000. You know, you're going, fucking hell, you know, there's a man that's done extensive stuff and offered up a lot of stuff, and he's only sitting at 15,000, but fucking PewDiePie and Simon Dan are getting fucking, you know,
hundreds of thousands.
What the fuck? Something seriously wrong here, you know?
But that's Simon Dan. He's a true scientist. he's got Sci at the beginning of his name, so he must be, which is short for science, as everybody knows. So obviously he's a science guy if he says it. But if his name's that, he has to be. Well,
that's it. That's the subtlety of the NLP on the gullible mind, mate. You know, it works. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
He's another one who said he's up for discussion and he would step up to the plate for discussion. Still fucking waiting. You know.
They won't come out. They won't come out in their little rooms,
no.
Mate. They won't come out their wee safety net.
No.
Kind of thing.
No chance.
They won't do it.
No chance.
They won't touch it.
No.
That's what I'm saying. I asked that. What's his name? I got into a chat with that Jesse Kozlowski, and I was basically I was calling him out. I says, why aren't you telling people their rate? Oh, you don't understand. I was like, I've used these instruments as my part of my job, man. I don't know how many foundations I've set out or roads I've looked at.
Aye.
Stuff like, I'm not an engineer, but I worked with an engineer with like a chain boy.
Yeah.
So I'd like, let's have a look, and I'd be asking him questions. I was a wee, because I always like to learn stuff.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like these people must be lying, man. They must be lying, because that guy knows for a fact that a theodolite's not rated. And in fact, it was exactly what you said there, Del. Actually, after a meter, I think the tolerance is like 0.5 or 0.05 of a mil.
Yeah.
And that's just right in front, is what you said, right in front of the theodolite.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So you go back, you know what I mean? You go back even further.
Exactly, mate. So that's how you need the mechanical implementation of the actual builder, who takes it step by step and builds square to the first part, and you continually do that. And it's not just in the aspects. You're talking about the theodolites, you know, sextants, compasses, astrolabes. I mean, these are all plain geometric tools. There's no way to deny it. Do you know what I mean? The only thing you can say is, oh, it's just because it's locally flat. That's not good enough, you know?
Yeah, what happens if it's locally flat for me and my mate's 3 miles away? Is it locally flat for him as well? What about the other guy 3 miles away? And what about the guy that's 3 miles away from him?
Exactly.
That's 9 miles away from you? But is it all fucking locally flat or what?
So it's pretty much just flat then, boys, and you're making it all up. Aye, brilliant. Okay.
Oh, we've got pictures. We've got
exactly.
pictures.
I know. And that's the whole point. I keep getting back to, you know, that's why people are confused. You know, as you're talking about, as I'm talking about here, the real practical applications in the real world are telling you it's a level plane. But people are confused and think they've got to rework that to make it fit on a globe. And you're trying to say it just wouldn't work if it was a globe. None of it would work. You would need some different system, different axioms to start from and work from, to, you know, in order for it to work on a globe. But, you know, and it's sorry, no, go for it.
All right. I was going to say, I got into a discussion with a guy about a sextant. In fact, it was about, I think it was on Earth discussions, and that's like, you remember they clowns?
Yeah.
That's about 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and they trying to tell me a sextant proved curvature, and they're just a couple of weeks ago, they've started again. There's people started saying it.
Aye.
I'm like, are you joking me? You set it up to the horizon, and then you measure angles that way.
So it's you know, using Pythagoras, trigonometry, and your calibration is a level. That's
exactly
calibration. You know what I mean? For fuck's sake. So
but bendy water, man. You're using bendy water. You know, so what can we do?
Oh, it's crazy, mate.
Mental, man. It's mental, but hey, you know, and that's the thing. You know, and it is. You know, I still get. You know, I still get passionate, and you know, because I really do. You know, it's like what you say about with your kids and that. You know what? Do you know what I mean? I look at my, especially when they were younger. Not so much now because my daughter's. She doesn't believe. I told her when she was about 12. You know, I believe the Earth is flat. And she goes, "Oh, don't be daft." I said, "Why not?" I said, "Look," and she said, man, and I just left her to it. So she knows that I think it's flat, but she's not even bothered. But my boy, we were on a train going across one of the bridges onto Foon, and I looked at him. I said, "There, Axel, look, Earth's flat." And he goes, "Yeah, I know." Straight away like that. We'd never talked about it. He goes, "Yeah, I know." Like that. I was like, "Okay," and we never talked about it. Excellent. I think leave them to it. Let them go, and that,
the younger ones don't have the same amount of baggage as people for, you know, like in older generations who have got a bit of trouble letting go of, you know, assumptions and beliefs through their ego and all that kind of stuff. The younger ones have not invested as much in any of that, so you know, sometimes it's just it kind of throws you. They get it easier, and you're like, "Oh, that was too easy." You know, I was expecting a bit of resistance there, you know, but. You know, that's the beauty of the younger generations. If you can offer them another avenue, a method of them discerning for themselves and leave it up to them, then you'll see the results of that, you know.
Yeah, well, that helped when you first started talking about the Socratic method.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. You know, I'm like, you know, that's a nice wee, and you can mix it, kind of thing. You know, it's really a good way of getting the other person to come to their own conclusions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a really, really good technique.
It's a way to bypass the ego in that direct, you know, interaction, because, you know, then you don't have the defences up, you know, which for me, again, was just part of getting right to the crux of the matter, sharpening the arrows without any unnecessary drama, you know. So, no, it's a useful tool. But again, you know, that term was shown to me. I never understood. I never knew that's what it was. It's just a natural formulation, I think, of social science. You know, observing people and learning and how to be indirect. So a lot of these things occur naturally through interaction and direct experience of reality. And then somebody comes along and goes, "Oh, there's a name for that. It's the Socratic method." And you're like, "Oh, right, fair enough," you know. But you know,
and then you learn it and you go. Because it's like that knowledge is power. It's like that neuro-linguistic programming. I mean, I studied that for about 3 years. I was like full on, and when I first found it and watched, like, you know, like about 30 hours of lectures, But the guy that came up with the idea, I was like, I freaked because of the fact that I realised the implications, and then it was just watching it just all clicked into place. This is how they've done it. It's all about it's about everything. They've got it all sussed. They've got it sussed with sound effects. Perfect example with a film. Watch a sad scene. Certain chords play. You're a musician. Certain chords, certain notes, A minors, and to make you depressed, or minor chords to that kind of thing. And then you're like, oh, fuck. And then you just look around. It's like words, everything, body. Just honestly, mate, I'm telling you, just that simple movement with your hands showing open hands. It's all primal instincts.
Well, I was going to go. That's what I was going to bring up. As aspects of primal, does a 3-year-old, if I play something in D minor, does it have the same kind of emotional and psychological effect as what it would be when he was 20? Once he's get a bit more experience of life, and he's related to certain things and attached certain sounds to certain images. Because I think for us, we were born up to generations of TV and cinema, so when certain things would be happening, there would be a certain music that went with it. And have we formulated a connection between these things that then affects us later on? Or is there something intrinsic that's part of your constitution where D minor will induce a certain emotion or whatever? I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's enough studying on my part to come up with a conclusion one way or the other, But interesting avenue of interest,
Well, exactly. It was like I think it was Mozart. All his music was written according to mathematical equations. It was like mathematics.
Right.
He done it as most of his music. I think it was I'm sure it was Mozart that actually used mathematics to write his music for some reason. You know what I mean? It was like, and they knew about it then.
Yeah.
They knew about sounds, and so I don't know, but that was a good point you made. Actually, are we actually conditioned to react? To them sounds. I never thought of that, actually.
I think you'd need to do a wee bit of studying on it, As I say, playing metal music in the car with the kids from they were wee, you play metal music to an older person, and they've got preconceived notions, they've got irritations with it, whereas a kid that doesn't have any expectancy or any attachment just taps their feet and nods their head, because if it's good, it's good. Do you know what I mean? It's not like they go, oh, I'm sad now because that's in D minor or whatever. They're just openly listening to it,
Yeah. They're just absorbing, because kids absorb.
I think the primal aspect is the rhythm rather than the tones and the keys that are being used. Do you know what I mean?
I agree with you. I think the keys are perhaps. I'm going to actually look into that, because I never even thought of what you just mentioned there about that. I mean, they're known for conditioning the human psyche. They've been studying it for hundreds of years.
Pop music was within certain beats per minute, because it's toe tapping. It's always in 4/4 because it's more tribal, it's more simplistic, and seems to appeal to people, which is why it's more generally accepted. So I think there's understandings of these things, mate. But in regards to like keys being used, I don't know. I'm a wee bit hazy there with that. I've not got anything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
but I think you're hit the nail right in the head when it's to do with the rhythm.
Yeah,
I think that's more of because we probably started hitting things or something first. But I think the manipulation was the music they found out somewhere early on.
If it's in a natural kind of rhythm with you, if you play something with a drum beat that's fucking 260 beats per minute, somebody's gonna be like, what the fuck's going on here? I can't deal with that, but slow it down to half the pace and they'll start toe tapping and moving with it, so
it's a wicked weave. It's a wicked web they weave. You know what I mean? In order to deceive us.
It's only because of your lack of understanding, Ali. As you said a minute ago, knowledge is power, and the only reason you have that power is because of the ignorance of the people that you're using it on.
That's true. So, yeah, good point.
That's it, mate. It's like the whole thing about the close-up magician. Once you know the trick, you can't see anything but the sleight of hand that he's using. Do you know what I mean? But up until that point, you're baffled by it. It's got you. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was like when that guy. You'll remember. What was his name? That guy. Did you ever see the guy that made the big jet disappear in the 80s?
it's funny. Gav was talking about that to me the other day. What do you call him? When it was a revolving stage. Is that the one?
Yeah.
Aye. Copperfield, David Copperfield.
David Copperfield. Yep.
Aye.
Do you know what I was like? I was totally taken in with that, man.
Yeah.
I was like, hey. I didn't even think. I mean, you're like that, but then, as you get older, or even, you just have to go, like what you said, once you know the trick, if you just go and study magic, you suddenly realise you can explain every single trick you see now.
But it's funny that as well, where we have a tendency to want these things to be true. Again, I look at that and I say, is it because we've got an inquisitive expectation that this is a magical kingdom, and it should be about thrills and spills and new exploration and discovery, and we're always looking for that, and it appeals to us for some reason,
And it's handed to us on a plate instead of getting off our asses and going looking at it.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course, man, of course, yeah.
For me, it kind of stifles that natural inquisitiveness, and excitement and thrill for life and and understanding its majesticness, So you get these wee tokens, these trinkets of street magicians and illusions, and it seems to appeal to that and appease you, But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. When you look at it that in the psychological sense,
exactly.
Yeah, I like that one that you say. It's like, I think it was you that was saying it about. If you have, it's like, I think you used the analogy, if a cow sees a fence, it'll go, oh, there, and not really bother with it. But if a guy sees a fence, he wants to see what's over there.
Exactly.
He wants to climb that and and I mean, that's what I think they've done. They've thwarted our wish or that urge or whatever, that inherent thing to what you say, explore, man, and go on adventures and find things out, because I think that we're naturally like that.
Exactly. You can see it in every child that's born.
Oh yeah, man.
Every child has it in spades. They just want to explore and move and be free, and and as you say, you can't put a fence around that because they're just going to try and climb it or blow it up or find a way under it or fucking whatever. But
put them in the playpen and come back 5 minutes later.
Exactly.
Messing with the telly.
For the age of 6 months, I was breaking out my cot. You know what I mean? Fuck this, I'm confined. I need out of here. Exactly. So it might have worked if they told me my cot was a ball and there was no way off. I probably wouldn't have tried to escape.
Yeah, there's no more here. See here, this is it. This is your reality.
Exactly.
That guy, what's his name? That cave. Who was it? Plato's cave. What? Was it Plato? Apparently. Do you know something? In them days, right, I wouldn't have put it past, because these guys, these guys were, I think that what we're talking about, the ego, I think they valued their own intelligence too much, kind of thing. Now, I wouldn't put it past them, because they weren't peasants. These guys weren't peasants. That's what people seem to forget. These people knew the emperors or the high society or whatever. They were messing about in the high society. So I wouldn't actually put it past them. That guy that he actually done that.
Exactly.
He actually experimented that. But when you think about it,
aye, fuck me. I mean, look at guys like Joseph Mengele. The documented stuff about that guy. Operation Paperclip, bringing somebody like him out of there after the experimentation he had done. I mean, what was he finding out about the biology of the human? Their mind, their eyes, the whole aspect of them. So again, if that was just one highlighted aspect, what have they been doing for centuries before? When people were more isolated, when people couldn't communicate, there must have been caves and institutions and places all over the place where experiments were being done into psychology, into physiology. There's all sorts went on that we're just not aware of,
Do you know a guy called, it's a guy Skinner, I can't remember his name, he was a doctor, right, but he was a child psychologist.
Right.
And he done loads of experiments in the 30s, I think, or the 40s. And one of the clips that you'll get, if people want to look, it's just write Skinner child experiments, right?
Right.
I think it was him or one of the other, right? but it was he had a little kid. This kid could have not been any more than 2-year-old, sat in a bed, sat in a bed kind of thing, sat like that, and she had this little rabbit, and there was a little rabbit bouncing about, and she, she'd never seen one before, and she's playing with thing. And then what the guy done was, and you can see this, then what the guy done is, after a while, the kid getting used to it, every time the rabbit approached, the guy was standing behind the kid and just banged a bell right next to her. After a couple of times like that, the minute the rabbit came towards her, she started screaming hysterically. And I'm like, wait a minute here.
Exactly.
They've been doing that. How can they? And it sort of opened my eyes up to actually think that the way that these people or scientists or these people that are involved in psychology and the brain and that, they look at us as if subjects. That's patient number. It's like totally emotionally, so they're capable of doing absolutely anything to find out. And I thought that was disgusting what they were doing to kids during the 30s and the 40s, man.
That's some of the things we can find documented, Ali. So, you can imagine some of the horrific shit that's went on behind
that's
those
not
doors.
documented.
Exactly. I just found that guy there. Is it Skinner Child Development? Is that the thing?
That's the fucker there, man.
That's
honestly, man. And do you know the thing is, he was Scottish as well. You bastard, man.
Seems to be
we've got a bad enough name.
Seems to be a lot of Scots at the fucking root of all this shit.
Plastic Scots are off of Edinburgh.
I don't want to chastise them. Maybe they set out with good intentions, and some of the stuff was hijacked by others. So I could see that probably being more the case.
Yeah. It was like there's a guy, Henry. I think it was Henry Huxley. It's that guy, Aldous Huxley's great granddad. He was the guy that went about promoting what's that? Evolution, right?
Yeah.
But he also wrote loads of books about child psychology and stuff. Listen, this is in the 1700s, guys. The late 1800s. He was writing books about this, right? And he wrote this book, and it says how to influence young gentlemen's minds by using pictures. It was about education. And this was written in like 1700 or 1800. And I was reading, I was like, I can't hell, man. So you think now, fast forward, that's like 300 or 250 years ago. Imagine how far they've come along with that.
Exactly.
I
think there was a lot more established in times going by than what we're even aware of right now.
And we're getting the result of it now with the shape of the earth and the adversarial behaviour. All we're doing is saying, hey, by the way, guys, I don't think the earth's a spinning testicle, or it's a spinning ball.
Exactly, and it should be open for us all. If these institutions and people representing the institutions are professing they're on the side of science, then none of that behaviour should be going on. That's just a ridiculous absurdity of these people, thinking and claiming they're representing objective science. They fucking ain't. Their behaviour shows you that, So
I always find something prevalent when these ballers, they already said, we've done the science. We've done, and they're going, what do you mean we? Why? It's like they're not even, they're just like normal guys like me and you, but they're claiming, we've done it. We've done it. I'm like,
that's part of their cult mentality,
And that's one of the telling things, certainly I find very, very telling about the psychological state of some of these people, or whatever, or the strength of the indoctrination, because it's worked, man.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Sorry. But Nick in West Coast Wisdom, how you doing?
Evening.
How's it going?
Good evening.
Hi.
How you doing?
Yeah, good.
All right, man.
I was just wanting to chime in on what Ali was saying.
Yeah. Sorry, Gene, can you just bear with me a wee second? Nick?
Yeah.
Can you talk again, Nick, to see if you're all right with your sound? You seemed a bit quiet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hang on. Just...
You're fine here, Nick. You're fine here.
You seem to be all right now. You were a wee bit quiet there when you came in, but you seem a bit better now, mate.
Okay now? Yeah.
It's just in case you wanted to chime in, mate, and we couldn't hear you. That's fine. Sorry, Gene.
Yeah, go ahead, Gene.
No, God, you've covered so much tonight, and I was cooking and eating, and I was like, ah. So, Del, just one brief thing. I don't know if you saw my comment earlier. Kids don't come with instruction booklets.
No.
Much as parents would love it,
Right.
they really don't, and neither do adults, for that matter. Let's face it. And what do you tell them? You tell them the truth, but you choose the words.
Exactly.
And you choose the words because you know your kids. Okay, so that's individual to everybody. And take it or leave it, guys. I only know this because my daughter's coming up 30 something, and her daughter's coming up 3 months. So, yeah, that's that. Ali, I'll go back to what Del was saying earlier, and what Mr. Cheswick's covered, and a whole host of other debacles that are going on. It's a soap opera. And this touches on what Ali was talking about. Psychology is something that is what I did, and I also coupled that with sociology. But I was one of those kids that did question, did ask, and did say, hang on a minute, that doesn't jive. And we, the stuff that you've been talking about, Ali, with the programming and the conditioning, we're all living in it, and we've all been subjected to it. And every night, the people that still have them turn on televisions, and there's things called soap operas. So that's where that comes in, because those that are starting to realise that the TV, in inverted brackets, programming is getting a bit monotonous, they're opening up to the internet, YouTube, alternative media. And so, in my opinion, what has taken place is the EastEnders, the Coronation Street characters have been replaced with the Simon Dans and the Craig Flat Earthers, and yeah, I'll go for it, the Nathan Oakleys and the Scammers, because there are people out there who have purported to be putting forward things that the community, and I'll say that again in inverted commas, have got behind, and now I don't blame them, because who knows who is who? We don't know who's who, unless you've actually had the privilege and the opportunity to face the person, as I've done with the guy that's on screen currently, and actually, have a conversation face to face and get to know the person. So these people are simply on a screen, and all we're doing is listening to them, watching them, and making our own judgments based on the discernment that we individuals have. Not a discernment. There's no measurement for discernment.
No.
And some people have it and some people don't. Some people have common sense. Some people don't. These characters have been put in place. They are soap opera characters. They are a replacement for that. Because our attention spans have stepped up a bit. People have started to wake up. They cannot put us in a pantomime forever. And it's been going on long enough. I've lived through it, certainly. And I've been watching the awakening for the last 30 years. It's been interesting. And for the last 15 years, I have completely switched off from mainstream. And here I am now laughing at people joyously being programmed to a debate show at 2:00 every afternoon. Quickly, it's preceded by a further soap opera internet program, and you can go through the week, and you can go through every day of the week, and you can go on into YouTube, and you can look on chats, and the characters are there. I was quite surprised when my name turned blue in chat on a certain live stream the other night. I know why, and I will stress this to people out there again: your name does not turn blue unless somebody has decided they want you on their team, or they give you a gift. Your gift is your name turns blue.
No, then
you can't stand there and scream for it.
But then that's the subtlety though, because you give somebody a gift, and if you're a sneaky fucker, that then they'll somehow feel compelled that they owe you something. They owe you some sort of loyalty or whatever.
So I can't criticise you then. Is that what you're saying? Because you gave me a blue name?
No. But that is some of the motives of people, though, Gene. You know?
Well, I appreciate that, and I see that.
Yeah.
And I see that, that there are some people who are out there who say your name's gone blue, and it's not a shield.
No.
Sorry, it's a shield. I've heard those words said.
So it's also for association as well, you know.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, you know, mods are in there for to keep things civil. You know, I said my first comment in the chat tonight was, you know, no shite, be polite.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you don't know these people on there unless, as I say, you've had the privilege to meet them face to face. So treat those people as if they're sat next to you at the bus stop. Don't treat them as somebody who is simply a name on a screen.
Yeah.
Imagine you were having a conversation with that person. Imagine that person could literally slap you in the face if you turn around and call them whatever you call them in chat.
Yeah.
You know, there's no place for this. We are trying. Well, surely we are a civilized society. God help us, please. You know, I had this conversation when I was something teen, and I asked the question why, and I asked this of my grandfather, and he was still alive at the time, and I was asking him why war happened, and at the time I just started looking at the First and Second World War in history at school, and my grandfather was just still alive. And he couldn't answer the question. I asked my dad, why? And he said, because two guys couldn't sit down and play chess, have a conversation and sort it out.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. That's what these people online are doing. Mm-hmm. They are causing a war. They're causing a battle. It's not a fucking battle. It is reality.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether you've got a gun or a knife or an atom bomb. You're still in the same frigging place.
Exactly.
It still is what it is.
Yeah.
And we don't know what it is.
So,
I keep having these thoughts about, I know what I think it is. I've got my own ideas of what I think it is. But I keep looking at my ball, a plastic ball. I have got one because I look at it and I look at it and I keep looking at it. And it doesn't matter how many times I look at it. You know, if I'm feeling a bit grim, a bit blue, I can spin it. I really do. And it makes me laugh. And it makes me laugh because it is so illogical.
Yeah.
And we all believed it. And people still believe it. And they believe it, going back to what Ali has been talking about, through a thing called programming and conditioning.
Yeah.
And these guys have studied that, Del. They've studied the way that kids react. You'll do it. You'll do it with Xander and you'll do it with Harley.
Of course, we all do.
And you'll do it without knowing it.
You do it with yourself, but you know, never mind
of course
anybody
you do.
else. That's what
You
self-reflection
reward
is.
yourself for certain things. You'll say, I'll just do this and then I'll sit down and have a fag. And I'll just do this and then I'll do that. And that's a psychological reward.
No, well,
and you do it with children. You smile at them, you cuddle them. And you do that because they give you the behaviour you want them to give. Mm-hmm. Rather than them actually being true to their own feelings and you allowing them to be true to their own feelings and give the behaviour that they want to give.
That's it. It's all conditioning.
I'll admit something now. I slapped my daughter, physically slapped her once. She's coming up 33, I've just worked it out. And I threw up. So actually physically threw up because I was so... That was the emotion that it struck in me. Mm-hmm. And I never ever did it again. I never had to do it again.
Yeah.
Never felt like the need to do it again. Yeah. Because we understood each other. But I was so ashamed of myself because I realised that I did not have to do that because she was a quarter of me, less than a quarter of me.
But
why did I have to hit her?
It's because of confusion and not knowing how to relate and communicate with each other because, you know, you've had nothing to reference from through our upbringings. It's just the way it was. Children should be seen and not heard and all that stuff, you know. So
I've got the physical scars.
Aye, that's the mantras and the behaviours we had to put up with. So it's the same, you know. It's the same with me. Your initial same when you have a pet at first as well, and you don't understand the language. You know, you get frustrated. You behave in certain ways, but again, that's the beauty of self-reflection and self-honesty, where you can contemplate and move on and learn. You know, but some people don't ever do that. They just keep repeating the same shit over and over again. You know.
And I'd like to touch on that as well about repeating the same shit over and over. I listen to a lot of these hangouts. I listen to these Globers, and I'm really, really struggling now with this notion that if they, I mean, there is a saying that if you keep repeating the same and expecting a different outcome, you know, that's insanity. And that's what they are doing now. They've got nothing new. You know, you said to Russian Vids, Russian Vid says, you know, bring something new to the table. Well, nobody's bringing anything new to the table because nobody's moving.
No, we'll bring something new to the table once we start exploring the fucking place.
Absolutely, because how can we bring anything new to the table if we don't know what it is we're looking at?
Yeah.
And where we are, and you know, all the observations in the world, and you know, I saw you earlier in the chat, Nick, talking with the divine world level, and I saw his video the other day, and that's brilliant, and I love these observations, and I find them very interesting.
Sorry.
But
sorry,
what are we looking at? Where are we?
Exactly. That'd be good. I just want to give Nick a wee opportunity to speak, because I'm not going to be on that much longer. I don't want to cut you short, but you know, I've got stuff I need to go on with. But it'd be great to hear, Nick, what's been happening. I heard about your invite and stuff. You know, are you still there?
Yeah. No, just first of all, I just want to say it was a great conversation that you were having. It's nice not to get any interruptions.
Yeah.
And great points there, Ali. I was just going to ask Ali first off, do you think we're still being studied?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. They want to fine tune it. Yeah, of course they are. They are, but I think what they're doing now is they're bringing. Well, look, there we go, guys. Right now, I don't care what anybody says. What the hell are they going to start teaching 2-year-old kids about? And I've not anything against people that have decided a man becomes a woman and stuff. I've not got a problem. But I've got a problem when they've decided they're going to start. In Britain, this is as well, Dale. Yeah. They're going to start teaching 2-year-old kids about gender fluidity. Seriously. I know. I was like that, but do you know what? So what they do is they're actually preparing this generation now that they've got, right? That they've got now. I think because they notice trends. So I think they actually create the society through the kids that they're programming them now, but they're still studying, they're still fine tuning. So Nick, right. I do think they are.
Okay.
Nick.
Yeah, and studying what's going on with this whole flat Earth, globe Earth thing as well, right?
100%.
I'd say that in particular about the first year and a half, there was a lot for me studying, on emotional, psychological reactions. What happens to people through time when they have this realization. I think all it's gauged by the intelligence gathering is always going on.
Yeah. I'm not afraid of that.
No.
I think it's which does kind of tie into your question about this guy who ironically calls himself critical think.
Yeah.
Ironic.
And part of the wolf pack.
Yeah. Right.
But there's obviously this these desperate attempts to, in their minds, humiliate and just try and continue this idea that the flat Earth is and I can't believe, like you're saying, the same old arguments keep coming back up about motion and momentum and all that stuff. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, really. I mean, it's and that just, and if you kind of enter into those arguments, it just keeps everything keeps going around and around in a circle, and we don't get anywhere. So there is that effort to keep it on hold. This kind of do you call it circular? What they call it, like when a plane goes around and around in circles above the airport.
Aye, perpetuating it. Is that the word? No.
Well, and this.
Well, you notice that they always focus in these debate aspects of the inconclusive stuff. Whether it be just a visible phenomena or some unattainable aspect, some metaphysics, some you know, a non-quantifiable, non-falsifiable aspect that, you know, if they can just get people to bite and place relevance on it, they know that it's a never-ending circle of debate, you know, because it's bullshit.
Yeah. So, you know, there's, I think, you know, like, and Mr. Cheswick as well, he's right to point out some of these. I must admit, I've been naive in a lot of cases, and and you know, yourself, Del, just sticking to your guns in a lot of ways, in being clear about how little we know and how much we've got to. So, but then, you know, what's the next step? You know, yeah, we're talking about exploration, but how are we going to bring that about?
I know. Well, this is it, Nick.
It's all going to come. All that will come because they're fighting. They're trying even harder and harder. Look at these 3 clowns they've just brought in, or 4, is it now? I think it's 3. You know who I'm talking about. These, you were going to talk to one tonight or something like that. Dale. These 3 clowns, they're like clones of each other.
Yeah.
It's the same, and that critical think as well. What you were talking about, Nick. These are the new what do you call it? The next onslaught of you know what I mean? Just to keep this thing going in a circle. What you were saying there, just keeping this thing going in a circle and getting you to. It's to stop it, the progression. You know what I mean?
Yeah, holding pattern, and it is a kind of warfare strategy, isn't it? You know, you go for those people that are kind of making headway, I suppose. I mean, it feels like we're obviously trudging through mud a lot of the time, but there is, like you were saying earlier on, Del, there is progress being made. I mean, the people that are just actively making observations and going through this, it does take time, of course, to
as party is, Nick, you know, me especially, you know, that impatience and wanting everything now, and you know, no allowing for the buffer period because I'm ready, I want it now, but I've just got to be realistic. As I say many times, I've never had an instruction manual for this. All I know is to keep swinging in the fucking dark, and hopefully, you know, we're going to crack some light somewhere. But as far as how and when that's going to happen, I don't fucking know. I just know my determination's there to just keep pushing on and hope that it resolves somehow, you know.
All you can do, Dale, really, mate, is you can only help. You can only really help your close friends and your family and stuff like that. And then coming on the internet is like it's an extra wee bonus that some people's going to pick that up, and then they can go and help their kids, or at least find a way, you know, a way of communicating the idea across. You know,
you fit the right nail right in the head, Ali. That's what it comes down to. That's where real revolution, real change happens. Is people talking to their direct family members, their friends, you know, their social networks, and then other people doing the same, and then it just starts spreading. You know, it's always the best method for anything, whether you want to sell a product or pass information on. You know, that's always how it's done. Word of mouth through people is the most powerful method. You know.
Yeah. And plus, this helps though as well, Dale. I hope you don't give up, kind of thing. No. I know you won't anyway. I know, but it's funny you saying that because in the last week, Dale, you hit on it the other week. You were not a bit down, but you were a wee bit different with. You know, you mentioned, sometimes it just seems like, I don't mean it's hopeless or whatever, but you were just mentioning that, right?
Yeah.
I heard that just about a week. It was almost about the same time. And do you know how many other people I noticed were saying the exact same thing?
Yeah.
It was weird. It was as if it was, I don't know whether whatever the moon's influence or whatever it was, but there was something going round.
It plays into the psychology aspect that Nick was touching on about that holding aspect, and because that's happening, people get frustrated and their focus shifts, and you know, because they don't feel as if they're making any grounds here, it's like, well, I better look for something else now to stimulate me and titillate me so that I don't feel that feeling. You know, again, it's understandable with people. I don't condone it in any way, shape or form, but you know, I get why people end up like that. It's been a discipline lesson for myself in regards to my impatience and wanting everything yesterday. You know, but you know, muddying the waters, bringing these characters in, making it a pantomime, drawn out drama, you know, that's enough to stifle people and they'll lose focus, you know. So
Yeah,
that's
because you're bang at it all the time. You know, you have been. How many years is this you've been on doing this still? So, and it can be a bit. You know, it's like it's a given that there's some points that we're going to have low points where that, and then it's just a matter. It only lasted a couple of days with me, and then I was right, okay, refreshed again. But
That's
I didn't actually. You know, I was. You know, I really did. Feel, and then I noticed you saying near enough the same thing, and I could get where you were coming from. And like loads of other people that I'd been talking to, they had the same kind of feeling. But
you see a lot of wishful thinking as well, man. You know, in some of the comments they say, "Oh, you know, you don't have the fight in you anymore, and it seems like you're losing it." And it's like, yeah, but fuck you, all right,
man. That just drives you more, doesn't it, man?
Exactly. You know, there's a minute of fucking rest period before the bell rings again, and then I'll be back up with my fucking gloves up. You know what I mean?
Your corner flapping the towel, you quick drink of water and back in there, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Back in amongst it. Yeah, of course.
Can I just tell one brief story before I go about when there was a massive transition at the time when they were kind of building up to kick out this former prime minister, who'd been very, very powerful, and they used the whole kind of the color coded tactics, and they had people they had the nation completely divided between what they called red shirts and yellow shirts. So the red shirts was this kind of populace, the poor people, the farmers, who were getting getting sweet deals and things from this prime minister who was eventually ousted, and then the yellow shirts were kind of the royalists, And so this was going on and on and on. And we had in Bangkok basically almost shut down. They had people camping on the streets, a bit like a massive version of Occupy Wall Street. It was huge.
Okay.
But it was all an operation. You know, it was all obviously strategically planned. You know, it seemed on the surface to be spontaneous, but of course it wasn't. It was an agenda to test the waters and get people built up to this particular point. You could see it if you were looking. But I remember one day driving into Bangkok. You can imagine Bangkok is a very, very busy city with populated with something like, I can't, don't quote me on this, but something like 10 million people. I drive into the town center and everyone was wearing a yellow shirt. Just imagine if everywhere you look, everyone's got a yellow shirt on, basically showing their support for this particular side. And it was like, okay, that was the kind of the turning point. So it was like, I'm just kind of, I suppose, talking about that because it just highlights what can be done with these.
Who won, Nick?
Psyop, really.
Yeah. Who actually won then? What was the outcome? Was it the yellow shirts or the red shirts?
What happened was there was a kind of, it was because there was this massive political fighting, but this very rich guy, Thaksin, had implemented all kinds of. He was the guy that did the war on drugs. I mean, thousands of people got shot in this war on drugs. In a way, it was like Thailand did have a problem with speed, amphetamines, because it was really cheap. You had bus drivers on it, and just everyone was on whiz, So it was destroying the country. So there was this war on drugs, but it was obviously and a lot of people got killed, who knows how many actually got wiped out. But it was a power struggle thing. So then what happened was they basically, there has been no government. It's still now at the moment, it's under military rule since then. I'm not sure how many years it is, but it's several years now. But that's kind of been a good thing for the country because it's brought stability, because for years you had this just constant fighting, which was just turmoil. And it was just a mess. But this particular guy was ousted. He can't even come back into the country now. He's lost his citizenship and everything. He's hiding out in whatever. He's wealthy enough to live wherever he wants. But so basically, right now it's still under military rule. There is no democratic government per se, and they're kind of slowly, gradually talking about bringing it back in. but it's a very kind of tippy-toe process. But it's, in a way, it's been good for the economy. You know, it's brought stability, and you know, people are not distracted anymore by this political bullshit. You know, so it has its positive points. You know, of course, it's weird it's like, you know, we were taught to look at Gaddafi, for example. Colonel, you know, as because he had his military buff on every time he was on TV, and of course that gives you this kind of dictatorship feel. But actually, you know, it's just the way they are in some of these countries. You know, it's just that if you're in the civil service, you wear a uniform. I mean, in the UK or whatever, you just go to work in a shirt and tie, and you could be working for MI5 or the CIA or what? Not the CIA.
MI6.
You know,
that's
here. It's like you wear uniforms, and they have their ranks and everything. It's all very much, you know, you can tell immediately what rank someone is by the lapels and all that stuff. But it doesn't mean it's a dictatorship.
No.
Yeah.
That's part of the propaganda.
That's the situation.
Sorry, mate.
Oh, that's about it. I think that answered Ali's question.
Aye.
Oh, right.
Well, I was just going to say that's part of the propaganda again. You're talking about Gaddafi there, you know, playing on the image rather than the content again. You know, like, well, look at the man and what he actually done. What about any of that? No, just keep playing on the image, keep portraying it in a certain light. You know, propagandize, and you know, people will feel as if it was just the actions were just because of the preconceived image they had in their mind of the guy. You know.
Yeah.
This is it, isn't it? And of course, we you know, in the West, we believe we're under a democratic rule, but it is a dictatorship because, like, you know, you're talking about just now, you know, got the soap operas and everything, all the TV conditioning us to tell us what to think.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
psychological as a psychological dictatorship.
Yeah.
It's no different to North Korea.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lots of flag waving, you know, the royals come out and everyone's on the streets waving their flags. Same shit.
Yeah. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been great chatting this evening. It's been a nice wee change, you know.
Okay. Thanks very much, man. I'll hop out. It's 4 a.m. I got to go. So thanks a lot, man.
Cheers for coming on, Nick.
All right, Nick, take it easy.
Thanks, Gene. Thanks, Ali. Nice to chat to you all. Yeah. Cheers, man.
Sleep well, Nick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
All right then, Dale, I'll just say thanks very much. That was a brilliant chat. I thoroughly enjoyed that, man. That was really, really good. Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
Cheers. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cool, man.
Do it again
Gene?
sometime.
Yeah, that
nice
was
to
brilliant,
talk,
man.
Ali.
Yeah, it was indeed. And thanks very much. All right,
I
Dale.
do enjoy watching your little hangouts as well.
Oh, well, there's not much there, but maybe a lot of swearing and shit, but there you go. So. All right, guys. Nice one. Nice one, Dale. Take it easy, and, you know, all the best.
Cheers,
all
mate.
the best for the country. Yep, no problems.
Nice one,
good
mate.
night.
Take care. Right, Gene. Thank you, and all. Thank you very
No
much.
worries. Hit Anta Dal if you want the stove looking at once your shed's sorted.
Nice one. Much appreciated.
All right, no
Thank
worries.
you. Cheers,
Love to
Anthony.
Emma, bye.
Cheers. All right, Gene. Cheers. Right. Cheers, everybody. Mods, as always, you know, much appreciated. See you at the weekend again. Take care, everybody.